Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Judith Kober, and today Elana Freeland is back. Her new book is out, has been for quite a while, and I'm very happy to see her. It's an excellent book, a masterpiece. I really highly recommend that you get it either as Kindle or I love books that I can hold in my hand, but I have to admit I have it as a Kindle as well because I had to speed up the process. So, Elana, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you again, especially with all your lavender in the background.
Yeah, I thought something nice for the eyes. So, Elana, now that the book is written, it is out, it is available. When you look back, what was in your research for this book, what was the most surprising thing for you? That might be very different from anybody else.
You blanked out during part of what you just said.
Really?
It stopped. So if you could repeat,
you didn't
just
hear the
gist
sound?
No, you were still, and then it was back. No, I'm used to things happening when I'm on the air. So I just need to know, do you want to know the most unusual thing, or what was it you said?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, how everything leads to the next thing is pretty extraordinary. But when you have just not very many families running most of the affairs on planet Earth, you should expect that because everything is to work together. So even though we keep hearing how nation states now are to be turned into a global state, one global state, the Great Reset, whatever it is called at the moment. That has always been the plan of the global elite. I mean, I go back to where I start doing the history on this is about 100 years ago when the League of Nations failed after World War I. And that was when, in my opinion, things started to get very serious about a one world order, a new world order, and what the timetable was to be and how it was to be done, and making sure everyone's on the same page and everybody knows what their marching orders are. That was when it really started. And with all the money and power accrued by these dynastic families over the centuries, it's not hard to imagine that you could do something like that. The boon to them was, of course, first of all, it was the electric light came in, and that was terrific. Telegraph, all of the communications that were in the old time have now graduated into extremely sophisticated technology. And that has been a tremendous boon to them. The second boon to them that I like to point out that most people don't realize is nanotechnology. And this really is, has given them the means by which to control the micro level of existence. Now, the macro level would be, for me, would be primarily geoengineering, where you can run all the weather and you can create political pressure by threatening earthquakes, threatening volcanic eruptions like the one recently in Tonga. You can you can move people because warfare now is constant. It's not an event like right now. There's a lot of the drumbeat of war in America as a distraction regarding Ukraine. Whatever the latest, Russia's doing this, China's doing that, whatever all that is really basically a distraction from the fact that their CV-19 assault is now winding down. And it's a horror, as now we will, we have people in Europe and America working on Nuremberg 2 to be able to show what has really happened, as the mainstream media, being corporate, being pretty much run by these same dynastic families I'm referring to, has lied and colluded with these criminal families. And so, once again, humanity is rallying to the cry to at last expose these people, if they are indeed still human. I'm not sure the word people is the word I would use. They are, that they have been enslaving us and dominating us and lying, etc., taking our children, taking our wealth for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so once again, humanity is rising up, perhaps even more than ever before, because we have these communications, though it's hard for some people to grasp how big this picture is, which is why they pretty much follow the tail in front of them like sheep. It's not easy to really develop a large mind when your education has been so poor. You have been kept in poverty so that you're always, it's 2 or 3 jobs you have to work in order to pay I'll let that ring, and then I'll hang up on them. That's what I do. That's me. So I really understand the dilemma of people.
Please leave a message.
I'm not so harsh on people as a lot of people commenting on these times are. I can see the big picture, but I have had to study thousands of hours and make thousands of pages of notes and compare and contrast. And I've had years of experience of reading disinformation and misinformation. I have a master's degree in historiography. I know how to do research. I know how to look between the lines. I mean, I have a lot of advantages. Yes, I chose to pursue those advantages. That's true. But did I have any idea on the scale I would need that? Well, I didn't, in the sense that since the 60s, when John Kennedy was assassinated, I and my generation, the 60s generation, as we're called, we realized that the establishment was more along the lines of outgoing President Eisenhower's warning about the military-industrial complex. And we realized also it was too late, even in the 60s. So, I have known for a long time the direction we're going in. Now, this biological twist to it recently, I didn't really think about that, but it is not at all surprising, given how amped up the vaccination schedule for new human beings coming into the planet are. It was obvious that in genetics, with the Human Genome Project and President Obama's BRAIN initiative, that a lot was being pushed forward and would probably be announced after at least one generation had been successful covertly. That's their habit. And that is about what happened. So I was, what is really amazing when you're going from the macro of you're taking over the entire environment, and that is what I posit in the previous 2 books I wrote, Chemtrails HARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth in 2014, and Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown in 2018. In both those books, I'm pursuing building a picture in the public mind of how you take over an entire environment, an entire planet, for what the military calls full spectrum dominance. And what they mean by full spectrum dominance is probably several things, but right away we have to realize they're talking about complete electromagnetic control over every facet, all the way from radio waves to gamma waves. So we already have seen some of that, but most people didn't know what they were looking at. The nuclear industry is completely about controlling that end of the electromagnetic spectrum. So then we get to the other end of the electromagnetic spectrum, and we see that we have wireless communications. A lot of people love it. It's a comfort, it's convenience, it's entertaining, and they don't realize that it also spells mind control because of how the human brain is put together and the type of frequencies that it is sensitive to. So if you've been watching how technology is being developed, then it doesn't just, oh, imagine that. We just found out that, it's not like that at all. It's all very pursued, very planned. And a lot of the ideas now that are out in technology, they've known for a long time. I mean, I'm not opposed to going back all the way to the pyramids for understanding transmission. These were transmitters. There's no question in my mind that they were able to communicate over distances. We were given the idea that it was more that they would, like the Celt druids would build a fire from one mountain to another, and they would communicate that way. Well, yeah, but that there was a much more sophisticated communication going on a global scale. In small parts, not everywhere in the world, not like it is now with massive cables across both oceans, in fiber optic cables, and total control over all the airwaves that are supposedly belong to the people, which is a joke. So the idea that they would have gone from the macro down to the micro has to be through, as I say in the title of the latest book, it has to be electromagnetically. So, and by the way, for people, the title is Geoengineered Transhumanism, How the Environment Has Been Weaponized by Chemicals, Electromagnetism, and Nanotechnology for Synthetic Biology. So I think my experience through the research of many pages of notes and many patents and papers was that, okay, so where's the electromagnetic connection between this macro reality and the micro reality? Because I know it's there. That's very important. And how they're doing it, the surprise for me was, I suppose, as I more and more pursued it, was the nanotechnology. And the nanotechnology is what we've been breathing now from the jets flying overhead and the rockets and the drones for going on 3 decades now. So all of that, all those nanoparticles, a lot of them are natural. Space is filled with nanoparticles. We certainly have a lot of nanoparticles here on the Earth, but what's happened is they're now engineering them, and they're now manufacturing them on an atomic level. And it's the atomic level that we don't really understand well, and is not taken up in the proper way, in my opinion, in high school science classes. The atomic level is like Manhattan Project, and we saw what could happen with that. We saw the atomic bomb. We then knew there were neutron bombs, all these different bombs. We became familiar with the term uranium, plutonium, etc. So the Manhattan Project was no small thing. It was huge. And it had nothing to do with the war. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And it was, the war was in a way a cover story for it. And nanotechnology, in my opinion, is really another Manhattan Project, because it's cheap. You can make it cheaply. It has many, 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 many uses. You can genetically use it. You can use it for neuroengineering. You can use others, just so many. You could build an entire rocket with nanotechnology. You could build, an entire building with nanos. So it's been a real boon, but it's been very quiet boon, because there aren't any laws that really control it to any degree whatsoever. And it's in food, it's in refined foods, it's in GMO foods, in the fields where GMO foods are grown, so-called foods. And it's everywhere. We're breathing it all the time. And everything's getting dumped up there that's not just nanoparticles, but nanotechnology, nanobots. And the bots are nanorobots with communication devices. And these are all in our body, and many of them have been designed by genetic engineers to create what Elon Musk gave us a presage for, which is I think he called it neural lace. And this neural lace, nice term, was really very similar to what Morgellons were once, and may still be. Morgellons was also a nanotechnology, and it was partially biological and partially non-biological. So it partially was a life form and partially a non-life form, an engineered part. And Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist that I worked with, and I still count as a good friend, worked very hard on that, on examining what was coming from the chemical trails, falling down, what we're breathing, what's affecting our geography, our trees, our forests, all that. So this nanotech thing was huge. And now we're getting another view of it through this inoculation that's going on, this genetic drive that is being injected into people. And we're hearing that, yeah, nanoparticles are in this. And gosh, what are they doing? I mean, a nano is 1/1000th of a meter. It is easily able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. Therefore, it's also easy to penetrate the cell wall of our cells. So obviously, another connection has been made, and the thing that keeps being left out is the electromagnetics. And I'm just flabbergasted that, but again, why should I be flabbergasted now that I think of it? Because the idea of the virus, of the germ warfare, of bacteria, all these things that we have to fear our environment because all these things are trying to get us. And then we hear that there's chemical biological warfare and that these things are being weaponized. But we've had several doctors coming out very clearly, and researchers saying, well, there is no virus. There's no such thing as a virus in the way we think of it, that it's attacking us. And it's another part of that war model that the West is fond of pitting. It's always an either or kind of thing. It's never a both and. It's the survival of the fittest and all those things that we have grown accustomed to in the West that makes the West very aggressive. And certainly all the people who don't live in the West know this very well. So if you don't have the virus causing this havoc on the micro world that is now coming to the fore, that Western science is now thrusting into the micro world of the cell and our biology, all life forms biology, then what is doing this? What is it? If it's not the virus, if it's not an assault of bacteria and germs, et cetera. Well, at this point, what you have is, yeah, there's virus, there's bacteria, there's things, there's detritus in the cells that are like the garbage that need to go out of the cell, and that's what these things are. But they can be turned into enemies if you genetically engineer them. And this is called, now the term we're all getting used to is gain of function. And so the gain of function serves that purpose, to weaponize these things, these pieces of garbage that are in the cell ready to be thrown out so the cell can thrive with the immune system. Instead, these things are being turned into weapons and utilized on the micro level. So what is that? How are they doing that? They're not operating on us. And yeah, okay, the injection is one thing, where they're injecting it into the body and it enters the bloodstream, and then, it's all systems go on the assault that has been programmed into these pieces of garbage that have been transmuted into like bullets or something, or arrows, whatever metaphor you want to use. It's electromagnetics that's making it work. And you had a clue of that. There are two clues I think of. One was when we all saw the Wuhan footage early on of the people just dropping. And you look at that and go, wow, is that from a virus? Well, that's the story. It's a virus. Well, and then they make up a big story about bats and nature, and it was almost amusing had it not been so awful of what was really being done to people's intelligence. What that was them flipping the switch on for the 5G system in Wuhan. And it was well known that Wuhan, with two huge science labs that we now know our Harvard professor, Charles Lieberman, was working with, and we know that Mr. Fauci was in bed with them as well. We know all these things now, but then we didn't know anything. We just saw people dropping. And then out came stories about how 5G includes the frequency 60 gigahertz, and 60 gigahertz is a known oxygen depletion frequency. And I happen to know that, and everybody should know, that oxygen depletion really helps communications in the atmosphere, wireless communications. So that what you have is a dry atmosphere. You don't have, there's not a lot of water, H2O in the atmosphere. You've got instead aluminum, barium, strontium, all the familiars from the chemical trails, drying out the atmosphere while they're making it more conductive for all the wireless operations. So the idea that that someone's oxygen could just be that fast. I mean, we're talking oxygen not just in the lungs, we're talking in the cells, talking about the power of this 5G weapon system. And it is a weapon system. It's not about communications, it's about weapons. And so how they're making this work with the nanotechnology, with the chemistry of our cells, is electromagnetics. So that's the key to reading my book, which, by the way, I'm embarrassed to say is 690 pages long. But hey, look at the title and see how many big, giant things I've taken on to show how they work together. If you have a weaponizing type of science, I don't even want to call it a community. I don't know what it is, an army, a criminal cabal, whatever it is. They have people, big PhDs, working in all these parts. And we activists out here, we people who know how the environment has been trashed, we may not know it's been weaponized, but we do know it has a lot of problems. And we know that in America anyway, and I'm pretty sure it's true in other countries, so-called developed countries, our health is worse than it's been in many, many years, not nearly as good as it used to be. People are living longer, but what is the quality of those lives that they are living longer? Are they on 15 medications? Are they on telemedicine, which is another name for it is precision medicine that can be done remotely now, and they put little implants in you so that they can check your biometrics this way and that. You know, to be plugged into this system is a bad idea. And I say that to the people walking around with iPhones. I don't own one. It's a weapon system.
Yeah,
Why would I own a weapon system? That not only will they track and trace me and listen to my conversations and send pulse various frequencies into my behavior, my thinking, and my feelings, but this is the system they're going to use to put you on this, what's it called, the passport?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we surround ourselves with electromagnetics that give us pleasure because they're convenient and comfortable and entertaining, we really should perhaps reconsider that and at least add the next category, which is weaponized. And consider what the state or the military-industrial complex can do to you and your community if you all have cell phones, if you all have smart meters, if you all have Internet of Things in your environment, if your car has 110 computers on it. What are we looking at here? We're looking at full spectrum dominance over the human race. That's what we're looking at. And for the latest version of that is the genetic transmutation of human 1.0 into a transhuman type called, that I call in the book, human 2.0. So this is real. This is not science fiction. I know it came in a flurry because it seems like the only way people really pay any attention to what's going on is if they are hit with a big drama, and then they have to wake up, and then they're sort of in panic mode. I mean, a lot of people who are waking up now, they don't realize that I've been following this for 4 decades at least, watching it unfold and squawking everywhere I can in writing and speaking to try to wake people up to what's coming. Mind control, total control over your free will, no free will left. I've been saying this for years and years. So we're there, and now the battle has ensued, and it's very exciting to me. People may think, why I'm not in a state of fear and panic because I know so much. No, knowledge is power.
Mm.
More you know, the less afraid you are, because you know what your relationship with the adverse forces is, and you know how you can, in your little life, or if you have a big life, whatever, you can make decisions so that you can stay alive longer, you can keep a quality of health, your immune system is still working, and you're keeping it strong with your decisions regarding your lifestyle. And part of that has to do with reconsidering what, what a virus is and isn't, what germ warfare theory really is, and how it makes no sense whatsoever to even consider that, and what you can do for your immune system by beginning to examine your lifestyle. I mean, none of this has to do with experts, does it? I'm not saying, you need to find the right doctor or the right scientist to explain things to you. You don't need to find any of that, because I don't know that I can really trust these people anyway. I myself have not done Western medicine since I was 13. I studied in my 20s. I was wise to study Chinese medicine in the sense of its theory of yin yang, and which really means acid alkaline, and to follow the macrobiotic diet, which I still pretty much follow, though, I don't follow it assiduously. I keep it as my foundational reference. And that way I can keep a balance between acid and alkaline, and therefore make my immune system stronger and happier. No drugs, no alcohol, no supplements. I use food, organic food, as my means of keeping a ballast to help my immune system now that I'm aging. So I think too, a lot of people think, oh, well, you're intellectual, Elana, you're just gifted with your good brain. And no, it's a matter of decisions that we make with our intelligence. It's not necessarily our IQ. It really is much more how we use that thinking, and that we not try to fool ourselves. And there are certain laws of this realm we live in, this earth realm. And the Chinese, 5,000 years ago at least, had discovered that in their Chinese medicine, their, I think it's acupuncture, their philosophy, Tao Te Ching, all that. That was a very great culture. Not so now, not so now.
Yeah.
But they were able to somehow see that the life force in the body is something that you can regenerate and keep going longer than you would think if you live according to nature. And of course, now with this planetary weaponizing going on, nature and we are both suffering from this assault of the West primarily. I have to lay it at the door of the West. And so this will have to be redone. I've been listening to some of the people coming forward, particularly the doctors, and a lot of them are saying, "Well, we're going to have to rethink all this."
Mm-hmm.
And that just is just music to my ears, because I have waited for decades for these professionals who become too arrogant with their degrees and their particular way of looking at health, and they eschew the East. that, you know, that was when we were more primitive. And now we're so smart. You know, we know how to kill people. Yeah, that's one of the things the West is quite good at. And so, you know, the idea that, oh, this is hopeless and there's no way out. And, you know, yeah, we have just begun to be conscious beings on this planet. I can't believe it's taking so long. But on the other hand, materialism and having all these technology as we explore the forces available to inventions on this planet, anti-gravity forces, free energy forces, the ether, all of these things that have been sort of controlled and made to disappear by Western elites so that they can dominate the planet through their own devices and their own scientists, their own ways of quiet war, as we call it. So now maybe that will change. Maybe. I mean, we're going to lose a lot of people because of this inoculation drama. I'm very sorry to say that, but on the other hand, if you, like I, ascribe to the idea that we live more than one time here, then you know, death is but opening a door to another room where one can hope that you would perhaps study and perhaps prepare a little better for the next time around so that you understand what's going on and what is needed here. At least that's my hope. And, you know, I think I was 8 years old when I first realized that I had lived before. And I didn't even know that it was that unusual to know that. In fact, I didn't comment on it to anyone until I was, I think, 17, when suddenly it struck me that it was not seen as something that everybody knows. So if we look at our role in this, not as victims or to be victims or maybe victims, or, you know, those who aren't vaxxed will end up in prison camps, or those who are vaxxed are, you know, going to spread their disease everywhere they go, or spread whatever is in the vax. If we don't get into the fear mode, then we can think our way through this. And there's certainly plenty of information. But if you don't have the discernment for the kinds of information you're reading, if you're just like a chicken with your head cut off, scared out of your wits, you will follow the tail in front of you, or you will do what mom says, or what grandma says, or what the neighborhood is doing, or your city. I mean, the idea that we can give over our independent ability to look into things is a dangerous proposition. And that's one of the things that's going on now through this this so-called plandemic, as it's called, is power domination is moving into place to certainly in Canada, Australia, Austria, and other places. Power domination in the name of your health, in the name of making you safe. Can't count the number of times people have said to me, be safe. I mean, it's like, what is this? Some sort of, you know, like Spock, you know, it's kind of like some sort of terrible sign-off signature. But safety and security may not be all that they're trumped up to be. So I think it's time that we really took a close look at the loss of what the West, one of the best things the West is known for, which is individualism and the rights, actual human rights and freedom, the freedom of the individual to make their own decisions and government to take a minor role. All of that is flying in the face now of what we're facing. it's as though, if you've had the model that progress is sort of a vector, just kind of moving gradually up and really enlightened, you'll see now that it is not that way. Progress is not at all that way, that you have to fight for every square inch of freedom that you will ever have. And there are times when, as certainly Europe already knows from 2 world wars, there are times when a movement will come into place that will try to take everything from you, everything. So this is one of those times. And so in this book, what I tried to do was create a handbook for people, whereby you can turn to the book to say, okay, my aunt has to go into the hospital. So, and they want to do a full MRI on her, on what's called a functional MRI. What is that? What's going to happen to her? What are the dangers of that instrument in the hospital? Well, I tell that in the second part of the book under the smart city, and talk about all of these devices in these smart hospitals that you may not want to have those tests taken. You may want to do something a little differently. You may not want to put your trust in a 5G, 6G environment like a smart hospital. Certainly many people are dying in hospitals. Could it have something to do with the electromagnetic signature of 5 and 6G in the hospital? Yes, it certainly could. So, so that's kind of what I try to do, is take the technology. I'm just a layperson. I'm not a physics PhD. I love research. I love learning. So, I'm not afraid of ideas. I can march into something and pretty much figure it out, just not math. You'd never want me to write a book on math. So you too can take the bull by the horns, do your own research, think your own thoughts, write a few things down as you figure things out. Writing sometimes helps that. And make decisions that aren't just waiting passively for an expert to tell you what to do. I think this is the era when we have to abandon the idea of the experts, because it turns out that all of our universities now, at least in the United States, are completely controlled by the military-industrial complex by means of grant monies for research. So we really are on our own now. Medical schools, meanwhile, are controlled by the American Medical Association. And they are certainly well known for lying, constant deception, constant power mongering, and doctors who now find themselves licenseless because they spoke out against what's going on now, may now have an actual opportunity to learn something about human health that certainly medical school, with, I think they have half a semester of nutrition or something, certainly does not seem committed to. So this, the Chinese have that great saying, the bigger the front, the bigger the back. The back is evident, there's a lot going on, but the front is, yeah, we're in crisis now. Crisis, the character in Chinese for crisis is opportunity and danger. Same thing. So now we have the opportunity to really expand our way of looking at keeping our own lives. And that is very exciting to me. But meanwhile, to do that, we can't just become Luddites and sort of avoid technology entirely. We're going to have to figure out how to live with it so that it doesn't kill us and it doesn't maim us in stripping our immune system of its tremendous power. I mean, what is the immune system? The immune system, my gosh, I mean, I'm a Rudolf Steiner person. So I was reading something from a Steiner person about the immune system, and the idea that the immune system could actually be under the aegis of the higher self, of the very highest divine part of us, that the immune system has been put in place over thousands, millions of years of our development here. And now it is being assaulted unbelievably. And I return to that again and again in the book, of all the ways that the immune system has been assaulted through the environment. And you want to think, oh, they didn't know. They didn't realize, they just wanted profits, the poor dear boys. I don't think so. I think they knew very well, at least some of them knew very well, that they were trying to break down the immune system so they could break down the human being 1.0 and move into place what they call a BCI model, brain-computer interface model, whereby our brain and our bodies themselves are plugged into artificial intelligence systems. And we don't even know, as Klaus Schwab gave us a clear picture of, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, I think what he was saying was, you'll own nothing because we're going to take it all away, and you'll be happy because we have control over your brains from remote distances. We know how to do that now.
Yeah.
You are a brain-computer interface, and you are plugged into the internet and Internet of Things. Same thing. The IoT and the internet are the same thing. So now the idea being, we have a slave class at our beck and call. We'll give them a few things and they'll be happy, and they'll be, it'll be like some of those people in 1984, the George Orwell book, who seem to have a glorious way of looking at every small tidbit as they go through their enslavement. So if we don't want that, then it seemed to me in writing the book that I wanted people to take the technology seriously. Now, in the second book, I laid out the space fence. So I had already been through a lot of technology, but in this book, I expanded it to include the micro world as well as the macro world, so that we would understand that they are corollaries, as above, so below, as below, so above. And this is a very ancient adage from esoterica that I know the global elite espouse to. They love that, as above, so below, as below, so above. And it has come to pass. But we can find our way through this if we but understand some of how it all works together, so that we can defend our lifestyles, our children's lives. We need to prepare them for a very different world from the one certainly I grew up in. So I'll just take a little break there so I can let you come in.
Yeah, okay, but it was fascinating. So as you know, I do not have the tendency to interrupt.
No, you're always so easy on me when I come on your show. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Quick question, Elana. I have seen many of that footage from China as well. A lot of footage, not many. And but some clips, I remember there was one gentleman in front of a gate, and he started shaking, and like 2-3 seconds later he was dead on the ground. But 2 meters apart there were people standing, and they were in total shock after that happened. and they were fine. How does that work? Do you have any idea?
Oh, am I losing you?
No, I have.
There
I
you
can
are. To me, what I was looking at was like what can happen here. I just heard about someone the other day, someone called me very upset about a man and his daughter walking down the street, and suddenly he falls and she doesn't. So it appears that, I don't know how it's being done, but my guess, and I thought this with the Wuhan footage as well, is that because each of us has our own unique frequency, it's called an evoked potential. And if say they have that, and how would they get it? Well, they would get it by scanning, biometrics. They would get it, I don't know if they can get it genetically from your blood. I don't know, but I know that it's a frequency. And each of us has, it's a little bit different from the other. I mean, it's pretty amazing that you think of billions of people on the planet, and each of us has our own frequency. So if you ran, say, let's just imagine you ran a 5G system on someone who had been inoculated. And remember, all the people in Wuhan have been required to be inoculated a couple of weeks before this event happened.
2019.
They were all inoculated.
With what?
Well, with a vaccine that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, told them they needed to be safe. So all the
Okay,
people
but that had nothing to do with the COVID vaccine.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily at all. In fact, I don't know what kind it was. I mean, it could have been a SARS-CoV-2 kind of vaccine. I don't know for sure. I mean, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing that they let that footage out, which really helped, because if you can think your way through this, it gave a very clear message about the role of electromagnetics. So one person falls, another doesn't. Do you see my point? The one person who falls, somewhere an AI system is running that frequency.
Yeah.
Boom, down that person goes. Do you see how this works?
Yeah. Because I also saw footage from an office, and inside that office, and one lady, she dropped dead from her desk. Yeah. And the other ones were fine. So something is going on there where it does not affect everybody. It would be probably too obvious if everybody dropped dead. But I always, because, you know, in that enclosed system, in an office room, I found that, yeah, interesting that it was just that one person.
But it's the same with targeting. You've heard enough targeting stories, right?
Yeah.
People are standing with their friends, and meanwhile, they're in torture because their brain is being massively hit and nobody else feels it. So this is the point of getting a better grip on how electromagnetics work. Because like in the office situation, you would immediately know, oh, well, it can't be the 60 gigahertz oxygen depletion thing because everybody else is fine. So why this one person? Now it has to be that somehow, I can imagine an AI system. You wouldn't need to have somebody who has it in for this person, nothing like that. But an AI system which has a random number accounting by which it runs through different batch numbers, say batch numbers of the different serums being put out. It'll run through that batch number and say it just does a random boom, boom, boom. It's got it all kind of mixed up and it's hitting this person and that. It's nothing is individual. It's not about somebody. It's about, will it work? And so I can imagine that. I'm not saying that's how it's done. I'm saying I can imagine it. And so, you know, the advantage to me of this kind of secret, we now know from the Nuremberg 2, Rainer, how do you say Rainer's last name? Freeland. We now know from that group, which is a very interesting group because they've interviewed hundreds of people by now from all different branches of knowledge. And I learned that, yeah, these batches are set up in a certain way. And we, you know, it can be seen that this is all very purposeful. This is not just, gee, let's just see what happens. Yeah, to a degree there is experimentation going on, but it's very well planned. And the batches, as one, you know, as Pfizer puts out its serum over here for its batch numbers that are going to explore this, that, and the other AstraZeneca or whoever waits in the wings until that gets a good going and see what happens there, and then it puts out it, and Pfizer steps back, and I mean it's operating exactly like a cartel, exactly. So this is a vast experiment on humanity, and hopefully some of these, I guess I have to call them people. I'm still not certain what their status is really, because my theory is this: if you give up your humanity, and to me, I have a certain idea of what our humanity is, and I think most people would agree with me. You could put down a few things that we would all agree, and it has nothing to do with having 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso, and a head. It has to do with certain qualities that are in a real human being. When you meet a real human being who isn't a corporate man or some terrible Nazi thinking state drone, you know it. You know when you meet someone who is truly human. They have actual compassion. They actually do their own thinking. They have certain qualities. I think now, if we really are blatantly honest with ourselves, we are surrounded by many people already who have opted to become machine-like and have, therefore, to my mind, abandoned their humanity in that part of the soul where their humanity resides. And now that part of the soul has a vacuum in it. And as I've said before, countless times on interviews, there's a law in which it is said nature abhors a vacuum. And so something will fill that vacuum. So what could possibly fill it? Well, it isn't necessarily that we're going to be able to see what fills it, because we are, as you know, if you look at a graph of an electromagnetic spectrum, you know that our visual range, our perceptual range is very tiny compared to this vast field all the way to gamma rays on one side and radio waves on the other. So if we can't see beyond that, then we're going to have to entertain the idea that there are entities who have various levels of energetic bodies, we might call them. And I would go so far as to say that Wilhelm Reich and Trevor Constable, 2 people that come to mind right away, did a great deal of research and experimentation in the desert, the American desert, where it's very, very dry. where they used infrared film in their cameras and were able to catch the existence of many entities living in our atmosphere who have plasma bodies. Plasma being the fourth state of matter. It is matter, but on the other hand, you can't really see it very well. It's sort of diaphanous. And so if you abandon your humanity, what's to say that an entity will not take up that space and you will still look human, still know your family, but you are not the same. You are not functioning on a truly human level anymore. And I think that we actually have a lot of these people now, certainly a lot of these bureaucrats who strike me as completely programmed when they get up to speak. Completely programmed. And remember, I'm a deep student of MK Ultra. You know, I spent 10 years on that. And I'm actually right now writing and editing the life story of an MK Ultra survivor, a male, who worked in the aeronautics industry. So the idea that, you know, I know this is a very radical idea, that we could be surrounded by people who look human but aren't. And, you know, I'm not talking Star Trek here. I'm not talking, you know, the Twilight Zone. It really is something, and one of the things that we now need to think about, now that we have transhumans who are lining up for boosters and have no idea that they are departing from human 1.0. Now that we have this happening, and it was in a way inevitable, then we need to really reconsider what being human means and really look at that. And in the same way, look at our laws, look at our Constitution, you know, all the things that we have depended on for thousands of years as an agreed upon structure by which society functions. We need to look at all that, along with the incredible, at least in America, I don't know how it is in Europe, but in America, the incredible carte blanche we have given corporations here, where they now run this entire everything. They run everything here. And what is their humanity? Zero. It's zero. It's a profit margin. And I love that term. I probably used it before on your show. The term that I got from an Italian Steiner person, egregore.
Egregore, yeah.
They are all egregores, which means they are entities. An egregore is like Boeing or Lockheed Martin or central banks like Deutsche Bank. These are giant organizations that now are composed of the wills of all their employees and CEOs and board of directors, et cetera. And that becomes sort of an entity in itself, so that you can't really, you know, you write some corporation, you have a complaint about their product. The corporation doesn't care. They'll send it off to the product oversight committee or something, and maybe you'll get a few dollars back or whatever. But the point is that the corporation's modus operandi is dependent upon continuing. That's all. Just continuing. So if you start looking at these entities that have gobbled up our humanity, all this needs to be rethought. And throughout the book, I had that on my mind. It was like my mantra was this phrase that is often attributed to Einstein, like everything intelligent is, but it wasn't Einstein who said it. I have no idea who said it, but basically, the thinking that produced a problem cannot be used to solve the problem. You will need another kind of thinking. And that's where we're at. That is really where we're at. And whether or not we're going to make those good decisions amidst so many careers and psychopaths and sociopaths and corporations with massive power? I don't know. It's kind of a decision. We're at a decision point. This is a turning point in human civilization. And God help us. I hope we will use this opportunity. But one thing I know is that if we solve this latest inoculation delivery system of transhuman genetic drive implantation, we're going to have other levels we have to look at. And one of the biggest levels is technology. I mean, do people really know what's been going into smart cities? I don't think so. Do they know that the sidewalks and the walls of all the buildings and the streets are all loaded to the gills with nanosensors that have been delivered from the sky? Nanosensors that are gobbling up big data from everything in the smart city, including you, are in touch with your cell phones if they need to be. As you pass them, they will pick up on that ISP or whatever it's called in your cell phone and deliver that information to central hubs that then go to supercomputers and quantum computers in order to feed them so that they learn and become more savvy regarding humanity. Do you know that? Do you know that's what a smart city really is? It's a complete hive of smart sensors, and they're all on a nano scale. And the nano machines, the nanobots that are also moving things, they're there too. So you know, the idea that we have allowed this all to happen without our awareness, with a bought-off Congress, a bought-off prime minister or president, is really sad, isn't it? I mean, it's like I think that's why Plato in the Republic is so hard on democracies. He basically says that any democracy eventually ends in tyranny. Why? Because the people don't take care of it. The people do not understand that the freedoms of a democracy have to be fought for over and over and over again. You can't go to sleep. You can't assume that the guy you just elected has not already been bought off or won't be bought off tomorrow. So that's where we're at. And give me a question if you want me to go in a different direction where I haven't gone yet or whatever.
Okay, so at the same time, we have another movement here, and that is, there is no space, there are no satellites, there's no such thing. CERN, actually, there's absolutely nothing going on, and so on and so forth. And I have to say, when I hear that drivel, I really, you know. But
is the flat Earth in there too?
Yeah, sure. That it's all the same seed. So what would you say to that?